Hey everybody, the PTS has just updated. WarGloves are live on the PTS, so in this video I'm going to be quickly checking them out, looking at all their abilities and all that sort of stuff, giving you a little sneak peek into the next patch. Now very quickly before we get into it, I do have to note that this is the PTS, so everything is subject to change. Mechanics and stuff like that probably aren't going to change, but numbers very likely will change before it goes live. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at all of the different Q and W spells on each of the WarGloves, as well as the passives, and then we'll go into each of the E's individually. They all have 4 Q slots and 4 W slots, which is really cool. So let's start here with the Q slots. So first off, we have Create Opening. Attack the target dealing physical damage and can be recast within 1.25 seconds to decrease their damage resistances, and then it goes on a longer cooldown. So let's select this. Should have selected it before, honestly. And let's see what it does here. So you can cast it once. It has a very short cooldown if you don't cast it again. Like it doesn't do much damage, obviously you can see here, but a very short cooldown, and then recast. And it's just a standard sort of like a dagger Q Thunder Armor there. So interesting ability. It seems like the damage is it's sort of akin to the dagger Q, this one here, Thunder Armor, it feels like, where it does a little bit of resistance, low cooldown, decent nuke, or not a decent, like it's not very much damage, but it's pretty low cooldown, so that might be a decent ability. Looking at the next one here, leap towards the target position and kick all enemies dealing physical damage in a small AoE. And then hitting at least one enemy allows you to uppercut for 4 seconds after, or the buff lasts 4 seconds, where you can uppercut and deals the same amount of physical damage, again to the same area, and throws enemies in the air. Okay, so this has a, well, I have a lot of CDR, so it's probably around like an 8-second or longer cooldown there. Range looks like the uppercut can be cast from, let's see. So this is a pretty short range, and that doesn't do anything if you don't hit. Let's see if we hit. Okay, so you can aim the uppercut afterwards. That's interesting. So you got the first hit, and then you have a long time to cast the uppercut. A little bit of a knockup. So damage, not the most damage, but also isn't that bad. Around 1,000, actually 1,000 physical damage is pretty good. Doesn't seem like it's doing full damage here, but actually maybe it is. Okay, decent. That's a little bit of mobility and a little bit of CC. That's pretty good. The range on the first Q is pretty short though, so it's not going to be that good for like catching opponents, because you do need to hit something with this first Q. Maybe use like a mob or something, but we'll see. Next Q, Cross Step. Dash behind an enemy, increase your attack speed and physical normal attack damage by 25%, 25%. It stacks up to 3 times with a around 4-second cooldown, cost percentage energy. Interesting, so this is like making them viable as sort of like an auto attack weapon, it looks like they're trying to make it. Oh, did nothing. There we go. So you got a little bit of a buff there. Interesting. You can just keep casting it. Why is my third auto doing so much damage? I wonder if they have looks like they have an attack chain where the third auto does a lot of damage. It's actually a decent amount of damage just for auto attacking from that Q stack. That's really interesting. That's a lot of mobility, honestly, with the low cooldown, and the range is what, 5 meters? That's around the same as the dagger Q, but it helps you stick to targets a lot, I think, and you constantly deal auto attacks. That could be really interesting for like a sticky sort of build. Last Q we have here is called Shockwave. Shoot a shockwave in a target direction, pierces all enemies, does magic damage. Hitting an enemy enables you to instantly dash to the first enemy hit with recasting the ability, and a pretty short cooldown as well. That's going to be like a 6 or 7 second cooldown. So let's see, range, not super long range, but shockwave, and then I can dash the target. Not a super fast dash, but interesting. So again, more mobility, a lot of mobility on these Qs, just a ton of mobility. That's really interesting Q, actually. I like that one. So Q abilities seem to have not the highest amount of damage compared to like crossbow keys and other things like that, but they have a lot of mobility attached to them, and some have a little bit of CC. We have the armor resistance, we have some CC there, we have a buff, like this one again allows for different sort of playstyle, which is interesting. I'm going to quickly look at, it doesn't say anything about an attack chain here. Let's check if it's unique to cross step. I don't think it will be. Yeah, so it looks like WarGloves have a unique attack chain here that has 2 light hits and then 1 heavy hit, or at least these gloves do. We'll see if the other ones have different ones. Okay, moving on to the W's. So first W, we have Triple Kick. Dash towards a target position, repeatedly kicking enemies you pass through, deals physical damage to players and mobs up to 3 times, and pulls up to 1 enemy player along with you. Interesting, 1 enemy player. So it doesn't look like that work against mobs. Yeah, so it doesn't pull the mob unless I'm doing it wrong. So it kicks up to 3 times. Interesting. Okay, so it looks like if they go along with you, kick them 3 times. Does it do any CC? No, just damage. Interesting. A little bit of mobility, a little bit of damage. Doesn't honestly seem that good. The pull one enemy player seems a little bit weird. We'll have to see how that works. But honestly, this ability seems kind of weak, just generally. In my opinion, 15-second cooldown with not a whole lot of damage. Like, that damage isn't that great. I guess that was 2 mobs. That's half damage. So I guess it is 900 damage compared to, like, this Q. It's still less than, like, that Q. So I don't know. Doesn't seem like a great ability, but we'll have to see. Again, it's mobility, so it's never bad. Next W, we have Backhand Strike. Strike the target enemy, knocking them back 23 meters-ish. I guess that scales with IP. And deals a little bit of physical damage. If the target collides with the environment, it will receive additional physical damage. And then damage resistances will be decreased. I wonder if that's if it hits the target or if it always does that. Let's check real quick. Let's hit this not into terrain. Okay, so it doesn't reduce resistances without terrain, but this is a very unique ability. Let's see if it works on this tree here. If I can line it up. No, it does not work on trees. But it did get the minus armor that time. Wait, did it work on the tree? I guess it just didn't stop when it goes through trees. Interesting. Oh yeah, look at that. That is a very, very unique ability. I like it. That's going to be hard to use. That's going to be like, in corrupted dungeons, you'll pretty much always hit something. But like out in the open world and stuff, it's going to be really hard to use. Interesting how you can like hit trees, but it keeps flying them through it. Like that. Oh, that stopped that time. Weird. What an interesting ability. Definitely looking forward to playing with that one. Next we have Counter, which enter a counter stance, increasing your defense by 75% while chanting for up to 1.2 seconds. Reflects 100% of the damage you take as magic damage. That makes no sense. So it increases your defenses, but also reflects 100% of the damage. So does it reflect a reduced amount of damage, or does it reflect the full damage? Odd. Upon taking damage, you instantly leap to the enemy, dealing 620 physical damage in a 4-meter radius. Okay, so it's very akin to the swords counter. It looks like it doesn't actually last for 1.2 seconds. It will cancel as soon as you take damage. Let's see if I can get this to hit me. Yeah, so it instantly goes, and then, oh, it has a little CC as well. Interesting. Let's see, I take 73 damage from this guy's auto attacks. Yeah, so they do take reduced damage. So the reflect doesn't actually do that much damage. It's mostly it's essentially the reflect is reduced by 75% because of the defense buff. But you get a decent amount of physical damage and a little bit of CC if you do successfully counter. Very interesting. It seems like a little bit of a better counter than swords in a 1v1 scenario, but a little bit worse in like a multi-man fight. So very akin to the swords counter ability though. The last W we have is a Devastating Combo. A 2-punch combo while channeling for 1 second. First punch stuns and deals damage. And this, this is essentially Black Hands E, just on this. It doesn't knock back though, it looks like. Oh, interesting. Wait, what? What just happened? Oh, that was my E. Well, spoiler alert. Okay. Yeah, so actually just Black Hands E. It's literally just Black Hands E. It even knocks them back. Okay, very interesting. Yeah, punch. Doesn't do as much damage as Black Hands used to do, but yeah, damage. Pretty much just Black Hands E. No purge, less damage, but it is just Black Hands E. Now let's move on to the passives. Black Hands, or these Brawler Gloves have some very unique passives. So every 8 normal attacks, your damage increased by 20% for 2 seconds. That seems really bad considering how slow their attack speed is normally. They really don't attack that fast. It seems like it'll take a really long time to get off. Let's see, without any attack speed stairs. That's a detect bug there a little bit, but yeah, that's not super fast attack speed. Like, the buff lasts for like 3 autos, which isn't great. So that doesn't seem like the best passive unless you really go high into attack speed. Next one, conditions. Every time you take damage when your health is below 40%, increases your damage by 20% and your cooldown modifier by 20% for 3 seconds. Very interesting. It's kind of like a berserker sort of thing. Let's see if I can get low here. Looks like auto attacks are a little bit buggy right now. They're not always doing damage, but I'm sure that'll be fixed. Yeah, so just a normal sort of buff there. Interesting. What's this cooldown? Does it have a cooldown? I guess it doesn't have... It has to have some sort of internal cooldown, or else it'll just constantly proc, but every time you take damage... Actually, if I just keep taking damage, will it just keep procking? It might. Oh, it didn't hit me. Oh, the PTS is going down. You gotta get... Oh, there we go. Okay, let's take it procced again. It's gonna proc again. Yeah, so it procs every time you take... Interesting, okay. Yeah, actually, that's okay. So... Interesting, it has no internal cooldown, so if you're below 40% health and you're fighting, you'll just constantly get 20% damage and 20% CDR. That could be very strong. We'll have to see how it plays out, but very interesting passive. It seems like they're adding a lot of unique passives now. The other two are also, I think, a little bit unique if I remember correctly. Let's check them out real quick. Okay, so the next one is, oh no, this one's pretty normal. Every normal attack, your move speed increased by 20%, but holy crap, what? I don't remember reading that before. 20%. Okay, so this goes obviously with this Q. This is a very good passive. This is essentially kind of like the swords Q stacks, except a little bit on steroids. It only lasts for 1 second, but that is, you're just constantly gonna have 20% move speed if you can stick on someone. Ooh, I like this. In combination with this Q, I mean, you're gonna be so sticky. Oh man, this is gonna be insane. Yeah, that's a very interesting passive, especially combined with this cross-step Q. You're going to be like sticking to targets like glue. Very difficult to get away from you. Last passive, this is the most unique passive, I think. Activates when you cast your weapon's second slot ability, increases your damage resistances by a hell of a lot and your crowd control resistances by a hell of a lot for 3 seconds. What's the shortest cooldown W? We have 15-ish, 15-ish. Oh, they're all the same. Okay, they're all like 15-ish, I think. Let's see without IP. WarGloves. Yeah, so, oh wait, it shows from my gear CDR. But anyways, they're probably all around 15, yeah, 15 base. Okay, so 15-second cooldown on this passive essentially then as well. The thing is, it gives you like defenses, but most of these are like, you have 2 knockbacks, right? Knockback and a knockback, which means you're not going to be taking damage in a 1v1 situation. And counter, again, another defensive ability that turns into an offensive ability. That I guess it could be okay for that. I wonder if you're going to do even less damage when you counter with this because of the passive. And then triple kick. It's pretty good along with triple kick, although you probably won't. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like when you W, you're normally not going to be taking. Okay, so it looks like it doesn't stack with the W there. But yeah, I'm not sure about this passive. Really interesting, but in terms of synergy with the W's, I think triple kick's the only one that you're really going to get a lot of value from, and then maybe counter a little bit. But these two, you're not going to get much value from them, I don't think. That they're just like knocking opponent back and then getting damage resistances just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay, so that is all the Qs and Ws in passive. So now let's go on to all of the WarGloves E abilities one by one. So I'll start with the Brawler Gloves. We have the Brawlers, the Battle Bracers, and the Spiked Gauntlets are your 3 normal WarGloves. So for the Brawler Gloves, your E ability is Blazing Geyser. Hit the ground to release a Blazing Geyser and form your raise, deals a bunch of magic damage and throws enemies into the air. Hitting at least 1 enemy will reset the cooldown of your first slot ability. Interesting. So let's use a Q here. Oh wow, very interesting. And it's a pretty short cooldown as well. That's a, oh wait, no, that's because I have my boots on. Yeah, we're on a 15-second cooldown. Let's use these as well. How, the range is pretty short, but the Q reset, and it does decent damage, some CC. I'd say it's pretty solid. I mean, doesn't seem like a bad ability. I can see it being useful in plenty of situations. Let's move on to the next one. So the Battle Bracers E is the Falcon Smash. Float into the air and become immune to all crowd control effects for 2 seconds. Activate the ability to gain an air dive back to the target location. It deals physical damage within a 5.5 meter radius on the distance from you. Okay, so if they're close range, you do more damage. If they're long range, you do less damage. Oh, that is interesting. So you have to be pretty fast on the double activation of this, but and the dive has a little bit of an animation. It looks really cool. I'm not sure how good this is. I mean, CC immunity has a little bit of a delay, but CC immunity is always really good. This is like a really great... If you combine this WarGlove with the counter, like you have a lot of outplay potential on people with CC immunity, damage immunity essentially, and reflect. You can really turn like players' aggressive moves on you. I think this is going to be a big outplay weapon. Seems pretty good. Very interesting. Next we have the Spiked Gauntlets. Oops, what do we do? Spiked Gauntlets. E. Unleash a powerful punch in a cone in front of you. If enemies wearing plate armor, or if they're mobs, they take a hell of a lot of magic damage and are slowed by a lot for a long time. If they're wearing leather armor, less magic damage, less slow for the same amount of time, and cloth armor, even less damage. Okay, this really interesting E here. Very conditional upon your opponent. So mobs are going to take... This might be a really good fame farming weapon, to be honest. This is a lot of damage. AoE, huge damage in an AoE. 20-second cooldown-ish. Actually, that's like a 25-second cooldown. So maybe not. But plate armor. Interesting. I'm not sure when you're going to like consistently be against plate armor users, but that's a big AoE too. That's an interesting weapon. I'm trying to think of like when this is actually going to be useful or good. Like obviously it's sort of like it has big AoE, could be decent in ZVZs, but really only to kill the tank line. Also important to note that it does magical damage, so it's going to be doing more damage to plate armor users, even without the bonus damage to plate armor users, because they have less magic resistance compared to physical resistance. Interesting weapon. Let's move on here. The Ursine Maulers are your rune. They should be, yeah, rune artifact gauntlet or WarGlove. We have its E ability is the 100 striking fists. Release a fury of fists in a cone in front of you while channeling for 2.5 seconds. Deals physical damage every 0.5 seconds. And this one, it follows your cursor position. Interesting. After 2 seconds, the last striking fist hits. Takes an additional less damage. An additional damage for every hit they've received. Stacks up to 10 times. Holy, this seems like it's going to do a lot of damage. How? Oh, and its AoE is actually really big too. Oh my. Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. Alright. This is a ton of damage. If you hit every E, how much do we have like CC in the kit to set up for this? Not really, right? Yeah, we really don't have too much CC. You kind of need a partner to set up for this, or it's probably going to get countered, but that is a lot of damage. Wow. Jeez, look at this. Oh, okay, that's interesting. It's hard because you can't like move around while using it because it follows your mouse, and if you move, it's a channel. Interesting. So you have to, if I walk this way, I don't keep walking. So you do have to stand still. Okay, I guess that's a downside to it. But a lot of damage, especially if you can hit them. That's a really interesting one. Let's move on to the next one though. This is our Soul WarGlove, Soul Artifact WarGlove, the Hellfire Hands. I'm sure it is Soul. Yeah, it is Soul. Hellfire Hands. Infernal Boulder is its E ability. Throw a boulder towards the targeted area, which bounces 3 times as it rolls. Each impact does magic damage and slows enemies. So like, bounce. That is a cool looking ability. The bounce is it's like a rubber ball. It doesn't bounce like a stone ball or something. The bounce animation is not what I expected. It'd be interesting. It's gonna be hard to get one person with like more than one of these, but again, like in large group fights and ZVZs and stuff, I'm sure it'll be good. I wonder if you throw it really close. Are the bounces set on a set distance or dependent on how far you throw it? Okay, they're set distances. Oops, I actually killed that. So even if you throw right next to you, the bounces will stay a certain amount away from each other. So yeah, definitely difficult to hit multiple on the same person, but good in AoE fights, I'm sure. I mean, it does a lot of damage overall. I mean, if you hit targets on every E, like that's a ton of damage, like 1,000 magic damage each. That's like 3,000 damage. Probably going to be pretty good in ZVZ. I can see melee DPS using this in ZVZs a lot because just the overall damage is quite high in its different instances, so it does well with lifesteal food and things like that. I think it's a pretty good weapon in ZVZs, to be honest. Probably the best ZVZ WarGlove so far that we've seen. Let's move on to the Relic WarGlove, the Ravenstrike Cestus. Its E ability is Earth Crusher. Charge up the Earth Crusher, slowing yourself by 50% while channeling for up to 2 seconds. Can't be interrupted. Deals magic damage to all enemies in an area around you. The magic damage radius based on how long you have channeled, so you can end it a little bit early. Okay, so it charges up radius and damage, and then the channel further will throw enemies into the air. Interesting. So you can walk a little bit, and then oh, that's a big AoE actually. I take back what I just said about the best CVZ Gauntlet. This seems like it's going to be pretty good. Let's see. Let's try to hit both these mobs with this. So I'm channeling. So can I use... No, I can't use any other abilities during it, but just a big old slam after a while. Interesting. The damage almost doubles from a short charge to a long charge too. So you want to make sure you get charged up. Again, not an ability you can easily set up by yourself. With the lack of like really long stuns or good CC on the Qs and Ws. You have a lot of short stuns, but gonna be difficult to hit this by yourself. Let's see if I sprint first. Yeah, you do go fast if you sprint first. Yep, definitely a good CVZ weapon. I can see people sprinting in with that thing, coming crashing down, doing a bunch of damage, a bunch of CC. Very strong. Alright, let's look at the Avalonian WarGloves. The last WarGloves, Fists of Avalon. Very aptly named. Oh boy, this is a wall of text. Oh, it's Ricky. Please don't kill my Ricky. Combine up to 3 unique moves. First, oh wait, combine up to 3. Okay, this is already interesting. First attack is Brown kick deals physical damage in a cone. Enemy players are knocked back 8 meters. Enemy mobs are thrown into air. Second attack is a dive kick. Leap towards the target position, becoming immune to all crowd control effects until impact. Throws enemies in the air. And the third attack is the Purifying Fist. Oh god, which is a lot of damage. Oh, there's another heretic here. Very interesting. Oh, I'm dying. Why are the heretics out here ganking on the PTS? Come on, boys. Oh no. I wasn't prepared for this. Okay. After that short interruption, okay, so do you get to choose here? Or I guess it just probably goes in... Yeah, so it just goes in order. Interesting. Ooh, that punch does a lot of damage. These are really interesting weapons. Okay, so the first attack knocks back. So this first hit kind of combos into your second hit because it's you get a leap, so it knocks them back, and then you hit them with a leap here. Does the second attack CC? Oh yeah, so if you hit all of these like perfectly. Oh, that did not. Oh yeah, knocks up mobs, right? Whew. If you can combo these all up together perfectly, you would do definitely a lot of damage. I wonder if... So it seems like even if I'm in like high IP here, and it doesn't seem like these will perfectly combo together. Like there'll definitely be counterplay potential. Like I can't go instantly there. That leap will not land if they move after getting knocked back by the first hit of the E. But definitely, this definitely seems like a super unique weapon. Cooldown. Wait, why are the cooldowns split into 3 different things? 10, 20. Oh, if you only use one. Oh, you can save the cooldown too. It's only a 10-second cooldown if I only use the first one. Very interesting. This is definitely a very, very skillful weapon. A lot going on here. But that last damage is a hell of a lot. Let's compare it. What was the other one that had a high damage? It was this one, right? Nope, this one. I mean, okay, yeah, it does. That last hit does as much as this one does to plate armor. It's like, that's crazy. And it's in an AoE as well, not a big AoE. Compared to this one's like 2.5, so you get 5 hits. It stacks up to 10 times, you only get 5 hits, don't you? It's hard to say which one gives more damage. I think honestly this, like this E might be more damage than this entire E. Although this one has larger AoE. Probably not. That is oddly delayed as well. But okay, yeah, very interesting. Just got a little bit of knock-up and then a leap. Looks like the leap can combo pretty well into the E. It's just the first two that are going to be hard to combo together. Well, let's try comboing the second two. Let's see if they're a true combo with high IP here. So if I instantly cast, I kind of resisted it there. That was a very nice play, Mr. Skeleton Mage. Well done. Perfectly iframed that our CC immunity that E. Very skilled. What Q am I using? That one. Alright, let's try this on a moose. Doesn't have CC immunity. Okay, let's see if I spam these together. Looks like a true combo, almost? Pretty much a true combo. Okay, so these things are going to be really, really strong. Mobility into tons of damage. Even if you just wasted the first E like that, I mean, the second two are just so strong. I think this weapon is going to be super strong for definitely solo, probably small scale as well. Maybe even large scale. I mean, it's all AoE, so. Okay, now that we've gone over all of the abilities, just some quick closing thoughts. I think they're probably going to be pretty, I mean, overall, they're probably going to be pretty strong. They look like generally a strong weapon tree. I think the Qs especially seem very strong, especially for open world. A lot of mobility and stuff on them. I like the uniqueness mostly about WarGloves though. They definitely like push the limits of compared to other weapons here. I love what they've done. A lot of like recast sort of things. A lot of like dependencies on cooldowns and unique passives that we haven't seen before. But like hitting one skill will enable the next skill, but if you don't use the next skill then you have shorter cooldown, like a lot of skill expression there as well. Very unique abilities, a lot of mobility. A lot of mobility as well. Definitely going to be a fun and interesting high skill cap weapon tree, so I'm really excited for these and I hope you guys are too. And that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe or something, I don't know.